There's only a few steps in making perfect PVC connections, and I'm going to show you how to do these now. But first, we need to cut the PVC to size. Well, that's one technique. Not too accurate though. G'day, I'm Kent. My father-in-law, who's a plumber, has shown me the correct way to cut and join PVC pipes, and this is an essential bit of knowledge to know if you're doing any DIY and you want to avoid leaks and failed plumbing down the track. For that small diameter pipe up to about 40 millimeters, which is 1.5 inches, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I like to use these pipe cutters. I love these things. They're so cheap and easy to use, and they leave a really clean cut. I've got a link in the description down below if you want to go and check these out online. If your pipe cutters are blunt, or if you live in a really cold climate, and I'm talking freezing cold, like that's not a problem we have in Australia very often, that makes your PVC pipe as brittle as Nana's hip, and I'd be inclined to use a fine tooth saw, like a hacksaw, to do your PVC pipe cuts instead. Depending on how many cuts I have to make, if I'm only doing a couple, I'll use a fine tooth saw like a handsaw or a multi-tool oscillating tool. Whoa, mate, you can't do that. You can't cut it with a chainsaw. If there's lots to do, I'll set up an angle grinder with a thin blade. It makes fast work of cutting. And while you're still holding the grinder, here's tip number 2. Cut a chamfer on the end of your PVC pipe. Chamfer the leading edge of the pipe that's going into the socket. You can also do this with sandpaper or a file. These sockets have got an ever so slight taper on them, and putting that chamfer on your leading edge of the PVC pipe ensures that you have a nice even layer of glue around the socket. Number 3, prime both surfaces. Have you ever wondered why the joins are coloured? This helps the plumber remember which ones he's done, and the construction certifier can see that the PVC has been primed, or the right glue has been used, or both. And we need to use that primer. It's an important step, and I'll show you what happens soon if we don't. For us at home, we can use this clear primer and clear cement. I reckon it looks nicer. Speaking of glue, here's tip number 4. Glue both surfaces. I'll use blue cement for this because it's easier to see on camera. Not too much, because all the excess glue eats away at the PVC and it weakens it. Not too little, or the connection won't be strong. About this much is good. Once the pipe is seated in the socket, give it a 1/4 of a turn to ensure an even spread of glue, and hold it in place for 20 to 30 seconds. Remember that taper that I mentioned? Before the cement has set, the pipe and socket may slide apart, resulting in a join that'll fail and leak, so hold them together. Wipe away any excess glue, as this can weaken the pipe. Remember, it's a solvent. When the cement does cure, the chemical reaction creates like a weld as both surfaces fuse together. And this will only happen if you use the priming fluid and the cement. If you only use the cement, your connection won't be very strong. It can pull apart later and leak. Oh, they say that PVC pipe will last up to 100 years, but if they've only been making it for 60 years, how do they know? Oh, and as well as that life-changing information, here's a suggestion for you. Don't drop your PVC pipes. They can crack, and a little crack is hard to see and easy to miss. But this little crack will cause you trouble down the track in the form of a leak. This is the last bit. Give your connection a little bit of time to cure before you start moving it around too much or connecting it to any pressure like a pool pump. If you're if you're just using it for drainage or venting, you can use it straight away. Once you're done, a nice way to hide your plumbing is to paint it, but you're probably aware plastic and paint, they're not the best of friends. If you want to see how I've painted my PVC with great results, check out this video just here, and I'll see you there. If you want to see how I've great results.